For how long? For how long will you kill prophets that are sent to you? For how long will I gather you like a hen gathers her chicks, but you won't? That's according to Matthew. But Luke, on the other hand, Luke again, I said, Luke also did a research. He spoke to people and established a story or a version of Christ through the eyes of others. And the account of Luke is one we are looking at. He says, Jesus wept while talking. You know, people from Nyanza understand this. Some of us from Rift Valley don't understand. You see, for us, we don't know how to mourn. Completely. We just cry, we scream, we just wail when somebody is dead. For the first 30 minutes, and we stop. We will wail again when we will be burying. The rest of the days, there is dead silence. Rift Valley. Not so for Nyanza. People in Nyanza know how to mourn. They even have people paid to do the job. I had never known until I went to bury. And people talk. Serious conversations happen during mourning. Can't forget this girl. She had come from Mwanza. And you know, we were, after I had preached, we were watching, we allowed people to view the body before we go to the graveside. And she was the first on the line. I didn't know she was a twin sister. She lived in Mwanza and had come for this funeral. So she wipes the glass of the coffin with her handkerchief. And I thought she was just doing what a loving twin sister would want to do to a dead one, a beloved dead person. But I was wrong. She was getting a clearer view. Then she started. Hey, yawa. You know, there was a traffic jam. No one could move. We had to wait for her to finish her thing. What is going to happen, Yawa? I had promised you that I was bringing you my children for Christmas. Now you are dead. You are dead, Yawa. What happens to my children and Christmas? Then she goes around and wipes again and talks again. Of course, it's a very painful thing to watch that. I couldn't help but cry myself. Nyanza people know to love their dead. And I'm talking about the mountains and the lake. The same. I'm not going to the western side, the other side. Talking about western, the real western. I've not gone for a funeral. But the lake and the mountains, that one I know. Jesus is saying, oh, I wish, and he's crying, how I wish you knew, Jerusalem, how I wish you knew what pertains to your peace with God. But you have no idea. You have no idea. Because it is kept from you. It is hidden from your eyes. Jerusalem, how I wish you knew. Because one day, enemies will come and surround you from every side. And they will not leave your children or yourselves. They will hurt all of you. And then not just that, they will not leave a stone on top of another. Then he gives the reason why. He said, because Jerusalem didn't know when God came to visit. Now, that's what I want to talk about in relation to our theme. You see, church, we have been talking here about we will go preach the three angels' message. And through the week, we were able to appreciate a pattern about how God deals with crisis. These three angels are located in a crisis that is called the final crisis. This will make or break people's lives. And yet God, in his wisdom, has said it is us to preach it. It is us, the Seventh-day Adventists, to be the ones with the burden to take the three angels' message to the world. My problem is, if Jerusalem could not listen to God, if Jerusalem did not even know God was walking their streets, I want you to imagine what kind of a crisis we're about to face. And the idea is so that you will, if you can't cry for the world, you cry for your own soul. Because honestly, folks, the idea is bad. God says this time is going to come and burn people. Burn people. Completely exterminate. Stiff-necked sinners. People who have refused to obey him and have turned to worship another. God says, I will come and destroy them. And so that we can appreciate this, I have decided to use a picture of Jesus' presentation of a crisis that was a miniature. It's a final crisis in what we call microcosm. A small version of what it is. If you read Matthew 24, you will notice that Jesus is talking about time of trouble, but it didn't sound like it was 70 AD. You remember when he was telling them, pray that when this thing happens, it is not winter or Sabbath. You remember? So, and when you read the whole thing, the question that he was asked in verse 1 and 2 of that chapter is, tell us what will be the sign of the time of the end, and when will you come? No, sign for your coming and the end of these things. And Jesus takes the whole chapter to discuss it. Now, but I want you to understand, it is about the three angels crisis Jesus is referring to. But he uses Jerusalem, the microcosm of the final crisis. He tells Jerusalem that what you have done to reject prophets and what you have done not to recognize the presence of God among you is a painful thing. I'm talking about God crying, people. I'm talking about the Son of God crying. Maybe you can stomach the idea of J.P. crying. Because I've been, fixed by some wayward men of some village. By the way, I never married her. Some of you think she's my wife. I never married her. She was married for some fellow. She's not very far from whom I see her often. You can stomach the idea of me crying. But just stop in your tracks and think about God crying. What does that mean? God, this is God, the creator of heaven and earth. He can speak. He can speak. No, come on. Let me help you. Do you remember Exodus 19? Exodus 19? When Moses went to bring the 10 commandments? No, you don't. You don't act like you understand. Let me help you. When Moses came down the first time, the people told him, listen, Moses. Moses, we do not like this idea of you spending a whole day telling us what God said. Because the guy is a stammerer. And when Moses was nervous, he would take a whole day to say a message. In fact, he would give people, put a rope so that they can't cross here. So Moses put a rope, and guys showed up, shining with suits and all manner of dresses. Like camp meeting, people show up with nice dresses. And Moses stood very far. He stood very far. Because they had said, we want to, nobody in between. So the mountain was directly facing them. And God started. He chose the long road. There are two paths to heaven. There's a shorter one and the long one. The long one has stairs. Stairs. And God chose that one, the one of stairs. So he hit the stairs. When he started hitting the stairs, the whole place was shaking. And the people said, Moses, is he arrived? They said, not yet. Ding, ding, ding. By the time He landed on the mountain. The whole place was full of smoke and fire. People closed their eyes. You've never heard human accidents. Have you ever seen people clashing or crashing into each other? There were carnages caused by human head-on collisions. People fled kilometers, no, not meters. And somebody said, go tell Moses, it's okay, Moses. You can take a week or even a month. We will listen to you. We better not deal with him. I'm talking Jehovah here. I'm talking Jehovah. Who, if he speaks, things happen. He says, let there be light, and there is light. He can say, you are dead, and you are dead long time. He is crying. The Creator is. Ask yourself, what is it that makes a God with such power to cry? Is it that he doesn't have power? Of course not. What is it? Because it appears like he's folded his hands, either in front or back, and he's now pleading. How I wish you knew. How I wish you knew what peace with God means. Or peace from Jehovah. I wish you knew, but it is now covered. You can't know the fundamentals that make us peace with God. You have no idea. It means that God can force everything he wants to force until he has spoken the gospel. When he speaks the gospel, God is bound by it. And the gospel has to be preached for people to hear God. He cannot go beyond the gospel. God has allowed the gospel to stand between him and human beings. And if people reject it, God has nothing else to do but to cry for you. That tells you what we handle as the good news is a bomb. It's explosive power that can save people's lives and also stop God in his tracks. He can't go against his word in the gospel. He can't. So he folds his hands and cries. And cries for you, Gagi. I wish you knew. I wish you knew how much I want to save your life.